What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Billy Collins.
MATJ.
And this is Magician.
And the Jock.
Guys, today we're going to actually dive into something that I brought up to Matt earlier. Not that I was frustrated. Well, maybe frustrated.
Yes.
Maybe aggravated.
And it's something we've talked about the origin of the channel being conversations we said should go on film, so it might sound a little bit like a therapy session, but we're going to work through some stuff.
Yeah, and if you guys have been watching us for a while, you know that we used to do these type videos, and we have guests in. We are going to have guests back in, but there's some
people
things
are unreliable, man.
Yeah, some of them are not.
Don't raise your hand if you're gonna.
Yeah, don't bounce on us.
Like, I mean, it's annoying, but no. So you were talking about. Like being I would say Billy sometimes has like the nice guy syndrome, and I was on the phone today for a couple hours with another guy I know out of Michigan, who's works in the same industry, and he said he's a self-diagnosed people pleaser, which is kind of another word for nice guy.
Nice guy, and so we're basically going to talk about why nice guys suck.
Yeah, I mean,
if we could tie a bow on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're all trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
But if we talk about this, what separates us from animals, right, is we are self-aware.
Yeah.
We are self-conscious. Every other animal is perfectly comfortable in their environment. You ever thought of that? Like the lion is comfortable, the gazelle is comfortable, the rabbit's comfortable. The rabbit knows it gets eaten, the lion knows it eats, the gazelle, whatever.
Yeah.
And the reason why...
They know their roles properly.
They don't overcomplicate it. And as humans, I believe we are made in God's image, we do have consciousness. And the reason we are uncomfortable in our own environment is because we actually have the ability to create our own environment.
Yeah.
Right, two people in the same town can be in a different environment. So, with that being said, we do a lot of, or at least I do a lot of thinking about my thinking. I try and have like an out-of-body experience where I'm observing myself and saying, that's interesting. I'm not making any judgment calls. I don't know, have you done that?
I do that a lot. Like I'll sit back and reflect on myself and some of the things that I do, and we talked about this before. We pre-show everything pretty much, and we talk about what we're going to talk about. And one of the things that
we always get to the part where like, screw it, just start recording.
Just record, because we just get talking so much. But the problem I had was sometimes I will be overly nice to the point where I can kind of feel a little bit more animosity towards people.
You feel taken advantage of.
Exactly. So I just I get like angry, and I have to do a self-check. And
this is why, and we're speaking to men, like, and iron sharpens iron. So this is, we're not telling people to air their problems out. Like I told you, man, I'm insanely open to a ridiculously small amount of people. Everyone else, none of their business, right? But I've got some what do you call them in the war? Some trench buddies, or whatever you call it. They're like, hey man, this is what I'm going through, blah, blah, blah. So if you don't have those, I truly believe a lone soldier is a dead soldier. And for men, I know a lot of men, especially once they get married, they kind of lose their friends. Their best friend is their wife. And I hate to break it to you guys, women are not equipped to deal with masculine problems. And vice versa is the same too.
Yeah.
But that's why you were discussing it, you were talking about it, and I was starting to pick up on some trends. Like you've mentioned a couple times, like, wait, so all this crap that I did for you, that didn't mean nothing? Mm-hmm. Essentially you're like, man, you're keeping score of all this stuff.
Right, and that is a big problem I have, is I will like...
You're doing it unconsciously too.
It's not like I have a notebook and say, well, I did this for you, did this for you, did this for you.
Right.
And I think what really sparked it this week is I've done things repeatedly for certain people, and then when I say no, I immediately turn into the bad guy, and it kind of it pisses you off. I'm like, I can't be your yes man every day, every second of the day. I mean, it's not going to.
And then once you come off of that anger high, you realize, well, shit, I've been their yes man every day.
Yeah, so it's my fault.
Why am I expecting them not to ask me for this if I've said yes 100% of the time?
Right.
You know, so that's part of being aware. It's okay to like feel those feelings of anger, let it run through, and then say, okay, now that I'm not like putting my fist through a drywall, what's actually happening? Can I give them a benefit of the doubt? I mean, the reality is we're all walking around with signs around our neck that say, what's in it for me?
Yeah, and that, and also too, for me, it aggravates me when I don't think people see all the things that I do for them. You know, it's like, you don't see what I've done for you? I mean, seriously, you don't see all the things I've done in the past, so all of a sudden, I don't do one thing, and it just washes all those
It's almost like they'll
memories
just
away.
move on.
Right.
Like they've used me up, and
Yeah, on to the next person. And then you feel like the dirty dish rag, like, okay, well, I'm useless.
yeah. And so we're talking about kind of the nice guy syndrome. First of all, I don't really want anyone to be like, Matt, man, Matt's a nice guy. I want to say, like, Matt's a good guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference.
There is, which I showed you the video prior, and we might splice it, I don't know. But, you know, he talks about, there's nice guys, and then there's good guys. And nice guys are usually, not trustworthy, backstabbing, have self.
Yeah, man. It's like, I think my mom would always say, like, what's your motives, right? So what's your motives for being nice? We're not saying being nice is a bad thing. The problem is being nice it's not really valuable, right? Anyone can be nice.
Yeah.
So it's supply and demand.
But then he also says a good man is one that will stand in the trenches and be, servant? What do you say? A civil servant?
I can't remember what but the idea that comes in my head is we've seen it where it's like the Marine that's in the full, like Jordan killing, I don't know, it's the dress blues or whatever, but they're dressed to the nine and they're having a tea party with their daughter.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I think of it
lion.
as, Spartans when they would go out and just slay so many, people, Persians, whatever, and they come home and then play in the field with their kids.
Yeah, man. It's that lion and the lamb dichotomy. You know, the issue a lot of times, what I've noticed with just nice guys, and women can probably attest to this too, there's guys that are just overly nice to women.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, like every guy out there has their version of game. Right, just like everyone's on a diet. Some people are on the paleo diet, some people are on the fast food diet, but they're eating food, they're on a diet. Some are good, some are bad. It's kind of the same way with game. And these guys that are just overly nice to women, give them unlimited attention, and they wonder why it's not reciprocated or why it's not appreciated. And because it's kind of cringy, right? Because if I'm a girl, I know what this guy wants, right? And he's being overly nice on the front end. It's like, dude, I haven't done anything to deserve this niceness, so it doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah. And ladies, if you're watching this, leave us a comment if you feel like it's cringy that guys are overly nice.
Because they're not going to admit it because they're going to say they want a nice guy. That's
true.
Like a fish can't teach you how to catch itself.
Because I've been guilty of being overly nice. Doing stuff that I don't need to do. Instead of sticking to my ground, sticking up for myself, or not really sticking up for myself, but, not going the extra mile that it's not really going to be that beneficial. Is that?
Yeah, a lot of times it comes down to like how you're measuring whether this is a successful interaction or not, right? Why I love the free market capitalism, it is the free exchange of goods and services, right? I don't have a gun to your head, buy my product.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have a gun to my head, sell me my product, right? You've got to see more value in my product than the money. I've got to value your money more than that product, right? And it's all right, great. If everybody wins, everybody wins. The issue, though, is we were just listening to. It's a great book. I would recommend it. I've read it a while back. You were like, I'm about to go download this right now.
I'm definitely downloading this and listen to it tonight.
But it's No More Mr. Nice Guy. And in that book, they talk about covert contracts, which I think is one of the coolest concepts. But a covert contract is essentially, I scratch your back with the expectation you're going to scratch mine.
Right.
But it's never verbalized. Right, it's assumed.
It's not a written out contract.
You didn't ask me for the back scratch, and I didn't tell you, hey, I'm giving you this with the expectation of a back scratch. And that's why I've noticed a lot of nice guys, and you've come a long way. Like I always kid, sometimes Billy turned to the South Pole.
I do get angry.
He'll get angry, and I think a lot of it is because of those covert contracts, which it feels like, man, I'm the only one that's holding
That's agreeing to the
bargain.
contract, yeah.
The other people don't even know.
Yeah, and that you do keep it. I have a tendency of keeping in, and we talked about before. I don't know where it extends from. I don't know if it's because I'm the oldest of my family, or if it's because I am a father, or
I wasn't hugged enough in second grade. Or,
you know, whatever the case may be. I mean, and we in the book it talks about what is it, the mama's boy situation. Mm-hmm. Your dad's not there a lot. My dad wasn't. My dad's a great man, but he worked an incredible amount of hours, so I really didn't see him. Even, I think he went to one of my football games.
Right.
You know, so it's just, so you get this this relationship with your mother.
Yeah, and they talked about there's a lot of men who are monogamous to their moms, right? And there's probably a lot of women listening now who either maybe dealing with husbands or whatever. The woman feels like they're competing with the mom.
Right.
Right. It could be an over-domineering mom. Usually it's a domineering mother and a weak man, right? And the original, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, even when that man has kids with his wife, he's still, mama's the original.
Yeah.
She's the OG. You know, so I thought that was it. But the concept of, this is why I encourage people to read, because you once you learn how this stuff works, you can kind of free yourself of it, right? We've talked about, once I learn how a magic trick is done, I can't then turn around and watch Billy do the magic trick and
have that amazement.
And be like, oh, how did he know it's the ace? Like, I know how he does it, right? But it's freeing too, because all right, it
the
brings
mystery is
some order
solved
to the chaos. Now that's kind of a silly thing, but once you learn how magic trick's done, you can't sit there and watch magic, or at least that trick, and be in bewilderment or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, man, turns out there was a rabbit in the hat the whole time, you know.
Right.
So that's why I encourage people to read. There's another great book, The Science of Persuasion. I don't know if you've read that, Robert Cialdini, and he talks about the different kind of tricks of the trade with marketing. And this, what we're talking about, is kind of the law of reciprocity, right? Scratch your back, you scratch mine. Do you notice that? I mean, it's a covert contract with the other person, but it's not like you're doing it undercover. Like, you just, hey, I like to help people. This is where I fit in the group. Like, I'm helpful, I'm dependable, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it could stem from, I'm usually the oldest person in my group.
The trend continues.
So,
I'm young.
So I'm supposed to be knowledgeable. I'm supposed to have all the answers. I'm supposed to be the one to
Johnny on the spot.
To fix everything and to be the one that people go to, which is fine. But sometimes it's just like, it wears on you to the point where it's like, okay, well, where's my... I just hit my microphone. You're going to kill me on that.
No,
where's my redemption?
Yeah, and I could see where that would cause a lot of frustration and a lot of like animosity. A lot of what's the point, right? Because what you're talking, it's kind of like karma, right? If I'm a good dude, good stuff comes back. If I'm nice, people will be nice to me.
And which is hard for me because, one, I enjoy helping people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really enjoy, I love all my friends and I'll do anything for them, but sometimes the devil will play with your quiet emotions and then you're like, well, wait a minute. are they truly my friends? Which they are. It's just in my head, because I'm a sick bastard. I just feel like I feel I should get some, and I do have friends that do. I mean, you always reciprocate. You know, I have a lot of other friends that do the same thing, but there's also friends that are, what would you say, fair weather friends almost?
Could be. I mean, look, nobody is a saint. Like, I'm not a friend with there's a give and take in everything, right? I'm not going to be a friend with someone if I'm not benefiting in some way of it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we all have our unique. It's a exchange, right? I do this, you do this, and hey, it works out. It's the free market,
right?
I think the issue a lot of times with being a nice guy is it doesn't feel like it's being reciprocated, because if you're going to err on doing too little or too much, you're going to do too much.
Right.
If they asked me to sweep the kitchen, I'm going to sweep the whole neighborhood. I'm going to prove to them how, and that's going to put so much goodwill invested in their goodwill bank account that now I'm going to be able to take deposits on or take withdrawals on that thing whenever I want.
Yeah.
Because that's, at the end of the day, it is keeping score. And then it kind of cheapens the act that you did.
It really does.
It's like false advertising. Like, I thought you were just doing this because you liked me. Like, I didn't know I was now going to be indebted to you for the rest of my life. And that's where those kind of covert contracts come back.
And which is not fair to the person that you're doing the nice deeds for, because like you said, they didn't ask for it. Or maybe they did, and I didn't say no. Or
well, have you ever noticed it gets awkward if someone's just overly nice to you? They're going above and beyond to be.
I don't know. No one's ever overly nice to me.
And that's part of, and no more bye-bye or whatever, no more Mr. Nice Guy, where they talk about the nice guy's really good at they're really bad at asking for help themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're horrible.
Because it feels very vulnerable. Like, whoa. I'm the answer guy. I'm not the ask the question guy.
Yeah.
But we've gotten conditioned now. This is what I mentioned, the science of persuasion. He talks about this, the law of reciprocity, where we're used to, if someone does something nice to us, we know there's kind of a sales pitch at the end, right? Mm-hmm. That we're conditioned to look out for the timeshare seminars.
Right. I'm going to give you a bottle of champagne, but you need to buy
because we know, guys, there is no free lunch. There's no free lunch. So if I'm doing something, if someone's doing something nice for me and they're doing it covertly, meaning no obligation, no strings, no, this is just one blah, 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 it gets awkward, right? Because we want to close that loop.
Yeah.
We don't want to be indebted to you.
Right.
Like, you mowed my grass. Okay, I'm mowing your grass tomorrow, so I'm done with it. I don't have to worry about your grass forever.
There's a funny thing on TikTok. These two dads, they're neighbors, and he goes, "Hey, did you notice the new daffodils in your front lawn?" She says, "Yeah, they look great. I don't know where they came from. I planted for them." And he's like, "Oh yeah, remember that tree limb over your house? I cut it down for you. Don't have to worry about storms." And he said, "You see how good your truck looks?" Mm-hmm. "Yeah, I just washed it." "Well, did you happen to see the new Chevy Silverado in your truck?" "I bought it for you."
Yeah, it's a one-up.
It's like a one-upping deal, yeah.
It's almost like a prank war, but it's like a nice war. Like, pay it forward or whatever. And, man, I can see. Now, as a recovering nice guy, the tendency, most people, we think so binary.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm nice, well, nice isn't working out, so I'm just going to be an asshole.
Asshole, yeah.
And just swing that pendulum all the way to the other end. And no one likes an asshole either.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to find your happy medium in that. And I guess that's where the good guy part comes in. Because a good guy not necessarily is going to be the nicest guy in the world. He's going to tell you no. There's probably going to be reasons for that. You know, he's not going to be the one that's going to say, oh, if you come in and say, hey, does this shirt look good? I mean, he's not going to be the one that says, man, that shirt looks phenomenal on you. He's going to be the one that says, no, it looks like shit. Good change. You know, he's going to tell you the truth. He's going to be the right guy.
I'll be like, well, if that's the look you're going for, yeah. Like, I just try to keep it cryptic.
In his case, if he sees a shirt, then he's like, what are you wearing that for? He usually likes the shirt. He's just trying to get me not to wear it.
Young Jock was like, oh, this is the Billy shirt. But yeah, I mean, well, I certainly don't have that figured out.
I don't either, but
if anything, I'm probably. There are times that you want people to ask for you because you have capabilities, right? You have there's something that I can help them with, and they don't ask me. And there's a part of me that's like, damn, am I that cold?
yeah.
Am I that unapproachable or whatever that they wouldn't ask me? Or have I been asked in the past and just
Been turned a
said
blind
no?
eye to it, yeah.
You know, I think, you know, the idea is just to be fair, right? There are some people that will be offended for anything that you ask. Like, nah, man, my time's worth more than that, blah, blah, blah. And then there's others that are offended when you don't ask. You know, so you almost
it's
can't
kind of like
win.
you can't, it's a lose-lose situation. So how would you, for a recovering nice guy, I mean, how do you become a recovering nice guy? I mean, I don't know, do you just stop saying yes all the time?
So a big thing is setting, like in the book, setting boundaries. Boundaries are huge. Nice guys are terrible at setting boundaries. You probably mentioned that.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were talking before, like, man, I can't work till 3 a.m, closing the bar down, doing all that stuff, working, and then be expected to get up at 7 a.m. and take you somewhere. And then I said, well, how many times have you done that? And you're like, shit, I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's not a boundary. So don't be mad at me for calling me at 7 a.m.
And it does. And when you said that, it kind of opened my eyes. Like, well, shit, it is my fault.
It kind of answered so it's like, all right, I'm going to give whoever's asking me that, hey, they're just responding to me, right? I think a big thing I've had to work on is like, what are my motives, right? So if you help somebody, if people need money, I'll just give it to them. I don't want them to borrow it. A lot of times nice guys give either helping them move or whatever, but they're letting them borrow that favor. When someone borrows it, that you want it repaid. And a lot of times nice guys want it repaid with interest. And it's literally like the nice guys taking poison waiting for the other person to die. So if you're going to do it and be done with it. Now, if
which I could say that
you,
I'm pretty good at that part too, where I will give money and I don't expect it back. That doesn't mean you call me or leave me a message down below that you need money, because I'm not going to hand it out to anybody. But
money's one part, but it also, if like
favors are
helping
another.
Out, doing those things, just give it freely. And when you take away that covert need for repayment, especially repayment plus interest, you will be much more selective on what you handed out.
Yeah.
Right?
That's 100% true, because I've seen that now where I will, beforehand, I would just, take it. And I was like, no, I'll say, I'm learning the art of saying no. It's slow.
It's tough.
But, with being a people pleaser, it's kind of hard to say no, but when you do, you're actually kind of given that, people pleasers, kind of like that more of a backbone where people respect it.
That's a big thing, and we, like most guys, we get angry when we feel like we've been disrespected. You know what I mean?
And I think it all boils down to just respect me.
It's respect. It's also be somebody that's worth respecting.
Right.
So think in your own life of people who you respect. How do they act? A lot of times you're not going to describe a yes man, a nice guy that essentially can be like a doormat after a while. You don't respect it, right? You don't value that. If you're always around, then the supply is through the roof. My demand might be pretty low, so I'm not valuing you being always being around, right? If you're nice all the time, it's just not that valuable.
Yeah, it just becomes like an expectation at that point.
Yeah, and I'm feeling entitled to it. It's like I'm entitled to breathing oxygen. It's all around. I know it's important if it was away, but it's here,
Yeah.
So as a kind of recovering nice guy, or nice guy in general, what are some of the downsides of it? Like, if you know what I mean, like when your frustration comes from it, where
Are you talking about downside of being nice, or
when you feel like it feels because I think you're still in that. The first step is like realizing the problem. It doesn't fix it automatically,
right?
But What are some of those frustrations? Because there's probably a lot of people listening that can
relate to it.
relate to it.
Yeah, so I think one of the problems that is we talked about already is that being nice, you feel like you should have some sort of reciprocated feelings towards you as you did for them. Like, I secretly am going to scratch your back, and why aren't you scratching mine without that contract? I think.
Do you feel like that? Do you get, is that where
I do feel that way, yeah. Sometimes I will get where I'm like, well, I say yes all the time, and if someone tells me no, I take offense to it. I'm like, well, why did you tell me no? I tell you yes all the time. What kind of shit is that? You know, it's like, how dare you tell me no? And that's on me, because that person's, it's not that they're not being nice, they probably just can't do something at that point. Or, you know, they're not financially set at that time. Not that I ask for money from anyone, but just in general, they're not there to help out or able to at that point. So,
or are you attracted to nice guys? When I say attracted to, like, hey, I want that person in my sphere. Like, if I think about it, you're not like this towards me. You know what I mean? You're not bending over backwards or whatever.
yeah, but
I'm trying to think of my own life
and
people who are like that.
But then again, you don't really ask much.
Right.
You know, like say if we're out, and I know I was working and I get off early or something, and I know you're drinking. You know, I would say, but don't get an Uber. I'll just take you home.
Right.
You know, that's on me. That's no animosity. But if someone says, "Hey, take me home. Can you drive me home?" and I take them home, and then if I say, "Hey, can you take me home?" they're like, "Get an Uber." That irritates the shit out of me. That's this kind of stuff, because I'm like, well, and you would never do that. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, man, jump in the car. I'll take you home. I mean, that's why I think
that's just part of being in a healthy relationship,
right? And that's why I think we're good friends, because of that situation. But you know, some people that will say, no, get your own ride. I can't.
Or they'll come up with these. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
This,
I got so many people in the car with me.
Which is almost worse. So I mean, if you're a quote unquote nice guy now, like, number one, realize, like, you want people to want your niceness. Like, for you, that's my thing.
Yeah, that's
what I bring to the table.
That's your yellow sun to Superman.
Yeah. Nerd alert. That's your, like, and just think about it in terms of supply and demand, right? If I want to increase the price, the value, the perceived value of something, I can't have an infinite supply. I can't be there. And honestly, anyone can be nice. The people that I know who are the quote-unquote nice, who they will go out of their way and say, I'm just nice. You know, you see a lot of women wearing shirts that say, just be nice to people. Anyone can be nice, so therefore it's worthless.
Yeah. It gets very monotonous over time.
And it's cringy if you're overly nice, because we know there is no free lunch.
So instead of being nice, I think you should be more authentic.
Yes.
You know, be more like, be more, I can't do everything, and be truthful about it, and that way people will respect you more. They'll appreciate it when you do something nice, is basically what you're saying. It's like your supply is going to be smaller, so your demand's going to be higher.
Let that act die once you drop them off, right? Hey, there's your ride home. Great.
Yep, see you later.
Because a lot of times it's energy. Yeah. It's an energy. I can tell when someone's doing something nice for me with the expectation of it coming back. So, I mean, a lot of it is just primal energy. And I know women can attest to this. There's guys who will be, we call them simps or whatever. That's their game. If I'm nice enough for long enough, maybe she'll like show me her bra strap.
Yeah.
You know, or eventually she'll have to give in. She'll see, I know she's been hanging out with nothing but jerks forever, and that's who she thinks she's attracted to. But eventually,
she hasn't met me yet.
Or she's met me, but hey, I'm in it for the long game.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about that alpha seed, beta need, these kind of beta providers. which is I'm going to do it. Maybe I didn't win the genetic lottery. I'm short. I'm not overly attractive. What I can control is how nice I'm going to, right. You are overly attractive.
I am. Thank you. Appreciate it.
But, you know, and I understand we are binary. So for nice, and this is what ends up happening. These nice guys who are nice forever realize, man, nice guys truly do finish last. So that I'm just going to turn into a jerk.
Yeah.
We see the MGTOW movement, men go their own way. Like, you can never satisfy a woman. I did all this, you know.
So we talked about boundaries a little bit, right? So some of the boundaries that I've seen, one of the biggest ones I've seen is it's okay to say no. If you're a nice guy and you say no, then it's going to up your value, you know, somewhat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then what?
Think of it like store hours, right? I can't. There's a Mitch Hedberg joke where he said he was walking by a dry cleaner at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, and it said, "Sorry, we're closed." And he's like, "You don't have to apologize to me. It's 2 a.m. It's 3 a.m. Like, I didn't come up the next day and say, hey, someone owes me an apology." So, like, store hours
are set.
Are boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? And if you show up, if it closes at 5, you show up at 6, you're shit out of luck. That's a real boundary, and that's a boundary that you can enforce because you can just get the hell out of the store.
Yeah.
The hard part is setting boundaries yourself, especially if you're used to being a 24-hour, like, nice guy.
Yeah, so that for me is the biggest, because I kind of want to, like, I'll be that store owner, we'll say, for comparison situation.
Here's my niceness hours.
Okay, look, I tell you what, I'm closed at 5, but okay, if you call me, I'll open the door at 6:30. You know, it's like I need to personally do it, and I'm working on that by saying no and by being that person in the middle, being the good guy instead of just okay, I'm either a nice guy or a really, you know, a-hole. It's
being nice, but not to your own detriment.
Right.
You know,
to give without expectations.
And just like the store hours, I'm not calling them and they're answering like, "I'm so sorry, we're closed, I'm so sorry." They just don't answer. Like, you see the sign, it's this. So a lot of the boundaries, you train people how to treat you.
Yeah.
Right? So if the 1 second after someone texts, I text back, well, like, that's going to be their expectation.
Right.
You know, so.
Which is another thing I've gotten really, not that I mean to, well, partly because it's like, I don't respond to that person right now. I think I'll just hold off a minute.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it could be, not to get too far off the subject, but if you're in an argument and someone sends a pissy little text, it's good to take a minute just to sit back, gather your thoughts. Don't just send out the first crappy text that you have in your head because it's going to be probably not beneficial to you or that person. So sit back and relax about that. And it probably could tie in with being a nice person too. It's like, okay, sit back. Is this going to be beneficial to you, beneficial to them? Are you able and capable of doing this without compromising you or that person?
Yeah, and I've said this to you too, where you're like, you were mentioning, hey, I lent my truck to a friend. And then you could have just stopped it there. But you immediately like, well, because this, she's done this. So you're keeping score. So like you are putting out what you wish other people would put back to you. Like, she's done all this, I'm kept score. It's worthy of me letting her borrow my truck. You know, where I was like, you don't need to justify to me. Just say she's her friend. She used the truck.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
It's yours. You know, and that's what I notice with nice guys too, is they justify their decisions because they want people to like them.
Yeah, I do need to work on that.
And I do it as well. But look, people rarely want full disclosure. They rarely want to know. They just don't care. You know, we're doing that more for ourselves, so we don't come off like a.
And I feel that as I get older, I get the same way. Like, and I have to look in the mirror and say, well, am I doing that? Because somebody will come up and give me a long explanation about something, and I'm like, I really don't care.
You
Just
notice
do
when
it.
people are giving you the
Yeah,
explanation,
so
you're
why
like,
can't I do it to myself?
yeah, you're like, dude, I don't care, whatever.
I'm like, okay,
Why did I
yeah,
ask you how your day
that's
was?
a cool story.
But then when someone asks, yes,
And then you're just
we're
kind of
all
like
guilty of that.
diarrhea of the mouth of, everything that you have said or done.
And it's I think the first thing is to just observe yourself almost like you were your own psychologist,
Yeah.
and just take yourself out of your body.
Kind of look at yourself in the third person.
Yeah, and just don't make a value judgment. No value judgments at all, which is, it's kind of difficult to do. This is why having an inner circle, especially dudes, you need to have dudes that'll call you out, or dudes that'll say, no, dude, you're being way too, that chick was just a B. Like, don't change. You're
Don't beat
fine.
yourself up over it.
Someone that can give you an objective perspective, if you will, because you're too close to it, just like I'm too close to myself. But what makes us human is we can sit around, man, we can think about our thinking. We can think about what if A then B. We can diagnose, and once you start to notice it, like I said, non-judgmental, non-value judgments, then you can see you can just say, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I notice when I do this,
Huh.
not like this bitch or this dick. Like they didn't give me a ride. I gave them 10 rides. What the heck?
Yeah.
Well, with this one person, I've never given a ride. They gave me a ride, huh?
So stop keeping score.
It's tough. It is tough. But anyways, that's my take on it. I suffer from it. I think we all do.
We all do, because like you said, we all want to be liked.
Yeah, you don't.
And sometimes we, by default, will fall back on the nice guy. Let me just take care of everybody. And once again, we're guys too. We want to take care of. Not saying that women don't take care of it, because women are.
See, here comes a disclosure.
I'm just saying, like
a disclaimer.
Women do take care of the kids and stuff. They don't.
Past results are no guarantee of future. Yeah, no, for sure. But I think what's even more valuable than being liked is being liked for who you are.
Yeah.
Right? The problem with nice guys is a lot of times they'll morph. They're situational, right? And this thing, I need to act like this. And what did Mark Twain say? If you lie, the problem with being a liar, which that is, if you're not being authentic, you're lying.
That's true.
The problem with being a liar is you have to have a great memory. Right? We did the show on Take Your Mask Off.
Yeah.
So, long story short, if you consider yourself a nice person, like a nice guy, or whatever, I would argue you're probably bitter, whatever, and just know that you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So instead of hating everyone else, do some reflection.
So I hope that helps somebody out there. I know when we do these sessions, it helps me. It kind of talks me off the ledge sometimes, because I can be the nice guy that gets bitter. I turn into the South Pole elf really quick.
And you come down off of it a little bit because you're like, okay, this is silly or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. I'm getting to that point where I'm just too tired to talk to get it so. But guys, do us a huge favor. If you got value out of this, leave us a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button.
Smash the like button.
And we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.
Peace.